Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing good. I've managed to steer clear of that COVID-19 so far, so I guess I can't ask for much more than that. So I have had a few people asking me for this follow-up video about how do I use it's called the Ultimate NNFX Backtester. And this is a tool that I highlighted in my previous video where I was talking about, specific flow of how do you backtest. And I had just found this tool a little bit before I did that first video, and I knew enough to be dangerous, but I know a lot more about it now. So there's a lot that this sucker can do, but I thought what I would do is I'd run through and just share with you how I use it and how I like to get it set up, because it is very sophisticated and there's a lot of different possibilities here. So to begin with, you're just going to open a regular chart in Metatrader 4. And I just have a chart open here. I happen to use the bar signals as opposed, to the candles. I just think it's a little easier to see for me. And I've thrown on an indicator. So this indicator is just your SSL indicator, if anybody wants to know. So the next thing we're going to do then is we're going to add that Ultimate NNF Backtester. Now, this is actually an indicator, not an EA. So we're going to find it within our indicator folder. So I'm going to pause here a minute and I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so I've pulled on the indicator and I've pulled up the inputs pop-up window. You're going to have to do that if you buy the indicator, because you're going to have to put in your serial number for your key. But I wanted to show you some of the inputs that I use because I like to have a cleaner chart, and I find that there's a lot of things that naturally or by default come on the chart. So as you can see here, we have our starting balance, and you can adjust that if you need to. We've got our risk, we've got our ATR. All of these things are pre-programmed right now to be, to support the no-nonsense Forex methodology. And here you can have your maximum drawdown. Now, here is one thing that I do like to change, and this is this trade limit. Limit the number of trades to be recorded. Now, if you leave this at 100, which is the default, and you have more than 100 trades within your period of time, it's just going to stop tracking. So I like to put this up a little higher. You can put it up to 200, you can put it up to 300, whatever you want, but I would suggest bumping that up a little bit. Something else that I like to change is this display take profit and stop loss level upon every click. Now, this is nice and handy because every time you click on a candle, it is going to put on your chart the stop loss take profit for both a buy or a sell from wherever that candle closed, which is nice. I just prefer not to see it on the chart all the time because it just gets a little cluttered. So if you want to see that, leave it on. If you don't and you want to set it up like me, turn it off. Another feature is you can hide some of those future candles. I don't worry about that. So here, this is interesting. So if you're going to end up saving your back test, maybe you don't have time to finish it all and you want to come back to it, you can save it. Well, right here, you can enter a name for your back test. So we could call this SSL, Euro, USD, whatever we wanted to do. that this is what that backtest save is going to save it as so that you can find it easily. So that's really nice. All right, I don't worry about spread because we're doing the days. Now here's something that I do like to take a look at. By default, this is usually starting at January 1st, 2017, or the vertical line to start is on 12/31/2016, and it goes until June of 2020. So what I suggest doing is perhaps changing this to whatever you want it to be. So let's go for a year on this one. Normally you want to back test, you know, a few more years, but I say just for our demonstration, we're just going to do a year's worth. So now what this means is these vertical lines are going to be dropped on our chart at the start date and at the end date, and they're going to be our visual cues of when to stop the testing. Okay, so the other thing that I like to do is I just like to change all these fonts down to 10 because I'll leave the 9 as it is, but all these others that are bigger, I like to turn them down to 10 so they don't take up as much real estate on the screen. This is okay, this is okay, this is if you happen to have his NNFX news tool, which is pretty nice because it'll actually show you what news events happened in your backtest. Okay, simple panel mode, set to true to disable all shortcut comments. So no, we're not going to disable that. We're going to leave these all alone. Okay, let's see what else here. Now you can also set trailing parameters. Right now it is set to the typical no-nonsense Forex methodology of trailing by 1.5 times ATR, which is set at 14. But you can adjust those as well. Now here's another thing that I like to do, because when I backtest, I want to be able to take the results that I get in the spreadsheet and just kind of copy, paste, and drop them into other spreadsheets. So you can either have your first and second position profit and loss show in pips or dollars. So right now it says, do you want to show in pips instead of dollars, profit and loss? So I always make sure that is true, because if it's false, it's going to show dollars. All right, and then you can, look at all these other settings, but I'm not too worried about them. You can have a crosshair, which I do like. You can set it to whatever color you want. Vertical lines on every candle. That's nice, but again, it just clutters up. It just clutters up the chart. I don't worry about the live adjustment settings because I just leave the settings as is. Okay. So one other thing that I would suggest is this particular alert, the maximum drawdown breach. Let's change that to false, because what happens is it will notify you every time you do that. You breach that. And so if you've gone down past, minus 10%, it'll keep popping up. So I just like to get rid of that and get it out of the way. As I go along these candles, over here you can see that the ATR and the profit and the stop loss changes. Very similar to the no-nonsense Forex ATR tool. It also will show you what your relative lot size would be. This is going to be your data window right here. And it's going to show you in real time what your statistics are. Now you can have that look like this, or you can have it look like this. I just hit the V button, which goes from simple mode to expanded mode. So as you can see, it's a lot of detail on the screen. So first of all, I hit the V mode, and it goes back to this, and it also shows us this is our on-the-fly adjustment. I don't worry about that box. I'm going to hit 1 again and get rid of it. So right now we have an awful lot of information on our screen, which I just assume not see all the time. So I'm going to hit the number 1 key, and that is going to make it go away. All right, so back to our chart. So once we have this all set up the way we want it, we will look at how it all works. So the first thing you're going to do is click within the chart to kind of activate it. Then a handy little tool is if you hit the Q button on your keypad, it will take you to the beginning. Oh, I got to turn that off. Hit the Q, it'll take you to the very beginning of your test. So again, wherever you told it that you wanted to begin your back test, it'll take you there. Let me pull it out a little bit so you can see it. See this vertical line right here? That's where we know that we're going to start our testing. The other thing that you need to make sure that you do, and I'll tell you, I missed this a few times, is up here you can see this says press X or Z to toggle modes. So if we press the X button, we have our candle measure on. So if we click on a candle, then it shows us our candle size. Okay, and we click on that again, it takes it off. But what I want to click on now is the Z. Okay, clicking Z on my keyboard, it brings up back testing on. So that's where we want to be. All right, so we're ready to go. Everything's at 0. So basically, you look for a signal. So here's a signal, okay? The color changed to green. You're going to hover over the candle that occurred right after the signal, and then you click on it. And if you notice, what happens is you're going to get that dotted line, and you're going to get a green line of where that trade is entered or opened at. So that's your entry candle. Then you're going to find your exit candle. So here we have a change in signal. So that would be our exit candle. Okay, and I just clicked on it. So now we've got where the trade opened and where it ended. The other thing we have to tell it is this a buy or is this a sell? And if you look over here, we've got these 2 buttons. So let's tell it it's a buy, because our indicator is indicating that. So what happens now is just by doing that, the backtester has already calculated the first half and the second half of the trade, given all the no-nonsense rules. Unfortunately, this first one has stopped out. You see here, this red X means that it's a stop out. So we did have a nice upward movement, but unfortunately, before we got there, we hit our stop loss. So let's move along again. So here we've got the opposite. Here's our signal. So I'm going to hover over that entry candle and click, and then find my exit candle and click. And now this time I'm going to tell it that it's a sell. Okay, now in this case, we got a nice green check mark. That means this was a positive trade. So the first thing it did is it went down and it hit that take profit number 1, and then it moved the break even, the stop loss to break even automatically, just like NNF, and then it took also that whole rest of the trade in the second half. Pretty easy, huh? So here we have another entry and exit, and it's a buy. Okay, and as we can see, this was another good trade. Hit that take profit, and then it took the trade out automatically at break even. Couple more here, and then I'm going to show you a shortcut. Okay, and we do this, and we do this. So that is actually pretty darn quick to begin with. But I want to show you a couple of things too that make it even better. So let's say we went in here and we clicked on this one by accident. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's not the right candle. I should have been on that candle, not that candle. Well, if you click your lines before you hit your buy or sell and you realize, oh, they're not right, you hit the F key on your keyboard and they go away. So now you can say, okay, it should be that one, and I'm going to sell. Okay, so that's a nice thing. The other thing is, say we did this, so we go in here, here's our entry candle, and we really mess up, and we say, that's our exit candle, and we tell it to sell. Oops, that was supposed to be a buy. Darn it, that was green. So here's how we fix it. We hit the rewind button. The rewind button will not only take off your lines that you put on, but the whole trade. So we can go back now. Actually, we have to clear that out. We can go back now and do it properly. Okay, so here's another shortcut that I want to show you. And then I'm going to show you just how quickly you can go through with this tool. All right, so rather than needing to hit these buttons all the time, if we click our entry candle and our exit candle, for a sell, we're going to hit O on our keypad. Whoops, see, I just made a mistake there, so I'm going to hit F, go back. And for a buy, I'm going to hit P. Now look how fast it is. Okay, entry candle, exit candle, P for buy. Entry candle, exit candle, O for sell. Entry candle, exit candle, P for buy. Entry candle, exit candle, O for sell. And anytime along the way, if you really see how you're doing, hit that number 1 again. And look at that, you bring up all of those live statistics. So right now, we've had 14 trades, okay? 8 have been wins and 6 have been losses. Okay, so, not great. Current ROI is 0.41%. Our highest drawdowns, negative 4.2. Our profit loss so far is $40. So you can see there's a lot of good information here, and it occurs on the fly. So let's finish this out real quick. Again, here's our change in signal. Here's our entry candle, our exit candle, P for buy. Here's our entry candle, our exit candle, O for sell. And now you notice we're coming up on our red line here. So we know that that is where we're going to end our test. So let's go our entry candle. And instead of going all the way here to the exit candle, we're actually going to end it right on that end date. Okay, and that was a P for buy. So now we are done. Okay, so we're done. So we're going to bring back up our statistics. Now this is a lot of information here, but you can make it more of a simple mode by hitting the V and making it simple. And this basically gives you the information that you need. So this wasn't too bad of a test. If you look, our ending net profit loss right here was $543.70. Here's our new balance. Okay, it shows you our gross profit, our gross loss. It also shows you our profit factor, 1.55. We had our highest drawdown at negative 4.2, so that's well within the negative 10%. Our current ROI is 5.44%. And here we have our number of trades, 17, 11 wins, 6 losses, which gives us a win rate of 64.71. So if you're using like the spreadsheet that I showed you, you can take these numbers right here and drop it in, or you can use any spreadsheet that you want to use. This is going to give you everything that you want. If you want more information, you expand it again to that expanded view, and you can even see some additional information. But I find that everything that I need is usually right here. But that's not all. So we've got our results. Let's take a look at the equity curve. Okay, so now we can see here, it does look a little weird because it goes backwards instead of forwards, but it still shows you this is the 0 point. At first we had some drawdown here, but then it started to perform better, and then had a little bit more drawdown, and it ended up pretty good. These red lines just show you what the last highest point was. And anytime you want to see a particular trade, like, oh, look at this one. This one really drew down. So I'm going to click on that, and you know what? It's going to show me, look at that. It's going to show me here where that trade was and why there was so much of a drawdown there. Let's look at our last one. Okay, here's our last trade. Again, very handy. Go back and forth pretty easily. The other kind of nifty thing that this guy has built into this tester is something called the Monte Carlo simulation. And I don't know that much about it, but there are YouTubes out there, and he actually has a video that he points people to that explains it. Basically what it does is it takes your results, all of your trades, and it randomizes it. And then it plots it as a new equity curve. Obviously, it's going to start at the same place and it's going to end at the same place, but how you get there could be different. So it's going to show you how risky is your algorithm, because you may end up with several bad trades in a row. Okay, so if we look here, this is saying that the highest drawdown hit in 10,000 simulations was negative 9.51, and the average drawdown was negative 4.4. And you can hit it again and again and again, and you see that equity line moving. So that is kind of interesting. Just a little, I guess, extra advantage there. So if you're at this point again and you want to save your test, you can hit that button right there. And what it'll do is you can say, I want to save this back test. And it'll tell you, okay, it's been saved. Thank you. Okay, or if you're ready to print your results, okay, so you've got this information, but what about all the individual trades? Do we have those? Yeah, we do. So we're going to print results, and we see here back test result printed in MQL4 files. So it's there and it is ready for us. But where do we find it? So we're going to go over here. We're going to go to our File, Open Data folder. Now this is your Metatrader 4 data folder. Go down to MQL, and now let's go into our files. And if you notice, first of all, here is the one that we saved. Okay, that's the back test that we saved. SSL, Euro USD, remember we put that in ourselves. And here is the completed back test. So let's take a look at that. So it'll automatically show you it in an Excel format if that's what you use. It is a CSV format, but you can save it as Excel or anything that you really want. I'm just opening up some of these columns here. Okay, so let's see what we got. So it shows us our win rate. It shows our total trades, how many were won, how many were lost, okay? Then it gives us our win rate. It shows us our ending profit loss, okay, which is nice. Gives us our ROI for the back test, our maximum drawdown. So this is all the information that was on the chart before. But in addition to that, it's going to give us our trade number, our entry date, was it a buy or a sell? It's going to tell us what was the ATR at the time of the trade. Okay, first position, first half, how many pips did it win or lose? Okay, how many pips or profit? I'm sorry. Here's the loss. Okay, so there's no profit here, but there was a loss. Okay, it's going to show you your size. It's going to show you all this information about your running total and those kinds of things. So this is really handy. And even down here, you can see then that if you take these columns, you can take these columns, copy, paste them, and then drop them into another spreadsheet, whatever you want. What they do suggest is that you save this file on your computer. You can rename it, you can save it, but you save it in the Excel format so that you have all of this information. So there you have it. So now that you have a better idea of how to use it, and I have to say it's pretty slick, and it has seriously cut down my hours of back testing because I can just click, 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 click pretty quick. Okay, so I'm going to show you where you can find this indicator. It's actually right in the Metatrader for Marketplace. So if you open up your trade window, and you're going to click on this market right here, this market tab, and then they've got all kinds of indicators that people have put together. But to find it, all you have to do is type in ultimate, okay, and then you will see it's this one here with this blue lion on it. And you click it. And from here, there's several things you can do. You can either choose to buy it, you can rent it, or you can download his demo. And that's what I would suggest, is try it out, because I think once you try it, you're going to love it and you're going to want to buy it. I mean, I'm not pushing this because this is not an affiliate link. I get nothing for this, but I feel like I just love to share these gems when I find them. And this is really, I found an invaluable tool. So you can see that it sells for, what, $84.99, and that is cheaper than another similar simulator, which is Soft4FX, which I also use. I've purchased that one as well. He's got a manual guide. He's got like a list of commands and shortcuts, but it is good because if you download the demo, you can try it out. It has full functionality for 2 different pairs. So that's kind of nice. You can really test run it. The other thing that I wanted to mention, is that this guy also has a Discord channel, which is really, really helpful because he is very, very responsive. And you can get on there, you can show situations, you can ask questions, you can report if you find a bug. He tells you about upcoming, updates. What's nice is I feel like sometimes I just buy things and it's just like this faceless transaction, I give them my money, they give me the software, and that's it. There's no support or follow-up. This guy is very, very attentive. That's his handle. Too much brainstorm, yo. Anyway, like I said, I'm not affiliated with him, but I have found him to be very, very responsive and always doing things to make it a little better. So I would encourage you. I will leave the whoops, sorry, all these noises. I'll leave the link to this channel there as well. So there you have it. That is the ultimate no-nonsense backtester. Not quite in a nutshell. Sorry this went on so long, but I think that it will be helpful if it is something that you want to start using. And I would encourage you all to do so because, hey, why not?